Number 6, to get out of our foreign exchange crisis, the federal government must carefully consider. I said consider. I didn't say go and do it. But consider very carefully, after which you take a decision, whether or not we should take a 20 to 30 billion naira stabilization package from the International Monetary Fund. I know the IMF is a dirty word in this country, but let me tell you that we're here not for the usual, but to think outside the box. That's why you invited me to keynote this thing. I didn't come here to be politically popular with anybody. We must consider this option, but we should consider it very carefully with experts looking at it to know whether it will help or it will hurt. What is the point I'm making? All the things we're doing in this country are IMF prescriptions. Removing the subsidy is a prescription of the IMF and the World Bank. But you're doing it, you have all the pain. People are suffering, but you don't get any benefit from it. If you take a $30 billion stabilization package, you take the pain, but you have money. That money can help to stabilize the reserves. It can help to stabilize the forex market. So there's a pro and there's a con. Thank you. But we should consider it. Again, the details are in my lecture, what the pros and cons are. Number 7, the president should create, following careful consideration, a full-time, highly professional, and full-time economic advisory council of 7 economists. I'm very specific in my recommendation. 7 economists. Those economists should have specializations in agricultural economics, industrial policy, labor economics, business economics, trade policy, fiscal policy, and development economics or political economy. These 7 wise men and women, between these specializations, you have what it takes to address the crisis today and tomorrow, to build an economy that can actually function. But if you set up an economic team and you're not thinking about what I've just told you, oh, just bring me this guy, bring me that guy. No, that is not strategy. You have to think, what is the purpose of this economic team? What are the competencies that must be present in that team? How do they work together to produce the result we want? The result of the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, in Nigeria. That's what we want. Now, I'm aware that the president recently formed an economic advisory council made up of some businessmen, some politicians, and all of that. My suggestion, very, very humbly, that is not an economic team. Sorry to be blunt about it. Sorry to be blunt about it. They are distinguished people. They are capable people. But what that represents, in my view, is a consultative group of the private sector. So you can rename it the State Business Advisory Council. That's what that is. When you want to talk about an economic team, that's exactly what I've told you how to do it. And it has to be full-time. No economy can be managed by part-time advisors. No, it doesn't work like that. And when you have people who are in business, you have to worry about possible conflicts of interests. So you must set up a full-time professional team. They do nothing else but watch the economy and advise the president on what to do. That's what we need. And I say this because the previous government did the same thing. They appointed an economic advisory council that was part-time, made up of distinguished people, but where is the economic transformation that has happened? Because the concept was not the right concept. So that's what I would advise. Also, we must cut the cost of governance. We must cut the cost of governance. Governance in this country is bleeding the economy. Every budget we make in this country is a budget that legalizes corruption. A full 40 to 50% of it is GBT. GBT. Yaunti, yaunti, yini, yini, psyche, psyche, like Fela would say. Let us be honest with ourselves. We should sell down some government assets under the oversight of the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, Murphy, and raise $18 to $20 billion that will be pumped into the reserves. We should end the populist, corruption-riddled palliative economy and develop and implement an effective social security system. In this paper called Nigeria's Poverty Trap and How to End It, our think tank, the Institute for Governance and Economic Transformation, developed the A to Z of how to end poverty in this country. You may not know about it because I am not in government. I'm talking to you. But thank God I have this podium today. If you want a solution to poverty, come to us. We'll tell you how to do it. We must implement a population policy in this country. We also must design and implement a blueprint to increase Nigeria's electricity output to 20,000 megawatts within 3 years, driven by private sector investments and anchored on the principle of sustainable energy transition. Finally, or just before finally, President Tinubu needs to revamp his cabinet, not later than his first-year anniversary in office. Why do I say so? I believe that if he does this, it will improve and increase public and investor confidence in the capacity of his government to grapple effectively with the current economic crisis. And finally, President Tinubu, his government should adopt and domesticate the 24-point private sector Bill of Rights advocated by the Africa Private Sector Summit, of which I have the honor to be the chairman, in order to improve the investment and business environment in Nigeria and position Nigeria as Africa's largest economy to take advantage of the African continental free trade area. Conclusion. Let me conclude and I'll leave you in peace. The best approach to exiting Nigeria's economic malaise and its potential for social unrest is to think and move with strategy, not with populist knee-jerk reactions that only create new and further opportunities for corruption. To think structurally and lay long-term foundations. To fix Nigeria's crisis today, we must act for tomorrow and deal with all the issues that have brought us to where we are. In economic reform, you cannot do one thing and not the other. You must do all the things that are required. That's how reforms succeed. So removing the subsidy is just one component of the reforms. It's not enough. If you focus only on it, you will continue to have problems. But there are other things that must happen as part of that reform. That's called systems thinking. Let there be no doubt. We can beat this crisis. We can. We can. We can. We can. We can save tomorrow for our young people. But we must ask ourselves honest questions and answer them honestly. What is the purpose of political power and government? To improve the welfare of the masses and create national wealth, or to create personal wealth and serve vested interests? To vaunt our tribes, or to build a nation? Is it endless politics for its own sake, or is it effective governance? When we look in the mirror, we should see one figure. The average GDP per capita of Nigeria since independence, that is more than 60 years now, the average GDP per capita is $2,000. That is a testament of failure. Let us be honest with ourselves. That after 60 years of independence, all we can boast of is this. What will our GDP per capita be in the next 10 to 15 years? That is the question we must answer today. Nigeria is too important to fail. If it fails, we all have failed. Most of all, those of us who have been entrusted with the responsibility to secure our today and tomorrow. When we compare where we are today with where many other countries are, with the talents that are bound in our God-blessed country, we should have a new resolve that we are God's children too, and that we deserve a place under the sun. It's time to stop the worship of the God of small things, corruption, tribalism, cronyism, nepotism, mediocrity. This religion is why we are poor and our economy is comatose today. It is time for a new religion, meritocracy, strategy, discipline, competence, integrity in governance, the organizing principle. Thank you.